Hello, everybody, and welcome to Session 0 of Star Wars, the role-playing game from West End Games from 30 years ago. So, we're going to be playing a Star Wars the role-playing game, first edition West End Games, reprinted by Fantasy Flight. It is a D6 system, and we're going to go over the rules today. We're going to talk about characters, we're going to talk about the setting and the world, the time period we're placing this in. So, let's start with who we have with us. We are missing Marty. Marty will be joining us on this campaign. He's in chat, but he couldn't join us today. So we know Marty's character basics, and we'll kind of talk through that, and if he objects to anything, he will yell at us in chat. But in this campaign, we will have Timothy, pardon me, Liz, Cece, Jay, and I will be game mastering. So let's talk about Star Wars for a minute, everybody. Like, Star Wars, it's culture at this point in our society. So I just want to talk about what I want to ask, like, what's everyone's relationship with Star Wars? And whatever you want to talk about that kind of in regards to that. Timothy, what do you like about Star Wars?
Well, I remember when Star Wars came out, I saw it in the theater, and I was obsessed. I had probably 5 different Star Wars t-shirts that I switched out wearing. I was referred to as Star Wars by kids the year it came out in my class. So, seriously. Crazy. I haven't fucking pulled this out of the vault for centuries. I haven't thought about it in years. But, right, the classic, like, Han Solo out of the bay of the Falcon, the doors, like that classic shot on a shirt. I really love the original film and the second film. And everything since has been really interesting and disappointing because it's been so interesting, because follow-through for me and IMHO has been spotty. Some stuff is amazing and I love it, and other stuff is and I don't know what that is, if it's me as a fan or if it's me as a creator or what, but that's been my experience. I love the diversity of cultures, the idea that it's space fantasy, that it's not just all science, that there's sort of other dimensions to reality, to life. I mean, there's a real... And I love the lived-in aesthetic that they really went with, particularly in the 4 through 6 episodes. 4 and 5 particularly, and that was new then, because it really grounds it, I think. So I like the idea that it's wild, fun, super diverse, grounded, and yet fantastical.
Awesome. Liz.
Hi, I'm Liz. I did not see Star Wars on opening day because I was born in the 90s. We did have the standard versions on VHS, and we had that special edition one on VHS that came in like the gold case. We had all 3 movies. So we had both sets of those. I couldn't tell you the first time I watched Star Wars because it's always been on in my house. So it's just always there. I do kind of see it as growing up, like as it moved to online and all the weird discourse that surrounds it. I kind of view it as the same way I see Doctor Who, is that it's this whacked out science fiction property that was never supposed to be as popular as it was, because you can tell that George Lucas did not think beyond, even if all the stuff about how that, oh no, there's actually a totally a secret version where George planned out all 9 episodes beforehand. Like, no, he did not.
Didn't. He can say that all he wants. Oh, he didn't.
Yeah.
We all know the truth, George.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Anything else?
I guess it's just Star Wars was saved in the edit.
Yes. Thank you, Marshall Lucas. the unsung hero of Star Wars.
And all the other unsung heroes that made Empire Strikes Back good.
Cece.
Well, let's see. Star Wars, kind of like with Liz, for me, has always been something that's been kind of on in the background. Like, growing up, it was always the thing that my babysitter put on, probably because it lasted forever and she could just, like, leave it on all the time. But I've always been, like, a bigger fan of, like, not the main movies. I've always been a bigger fan of, like, the offshoot things. So, like, the cartoons or comics or even, like, the offshoot movies, like, Rogue One. Those always hit a little bit closer to home for me than necessarily, like, the main 9 movies now. So, that's big fan though still. But yeah, I really like how it kind of takes different themes of like this weird sci-fi mythology kind of thing mixed with kind of like samurai movies mixed with kind of like Western movies too. I mean, samurais and Western films kind of go hand in hand anyway, but I do like that you can kind of like mix the two in a way in this weird world. And that's always been like a super like fascinating thing to me about Star Wars.
Yeah, awesome. Marty, what do you think?
He's writing.
That's a weird take. I wouldn't have seen it that way, but sure. Yeah.
God, why do you have to be so wordy about it?
What if we mash up Star Wars with Charlie Brown and Marty's voices? Wah, 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 wah.
I can tell you what Marty thinks about it. He hates Empire. Return of the Jedi is the best one. The Phantom Menace is great. Jedi are trash in general. Yoda's wrong all the time. I think that's most of Marty's opinions. I share a lot of them. Jay.
Hi, I'm Jay, and as far as I know, I'm the only one in this group that actually really liked the sequels.
No, I like the sequels too.
Okay, so I'm not. That makes me feel a little better.
We could talk about that.
I like some parts of the sequels. How about that?
I think I'm the only one.
I was gonna say, we can at least all agree that Episode 8's visually really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Visually, they look beautiful.
But anyway, kind of similar background to everyone else's. My first Star Wars was the box set of VHSs, the original trilogy. And it's just kind of always been there, always been on. I really like all of the aspects of this world that we don't really focus on in the movies. Like, to me, the most interesting part of Star Wars is anything that doesn't have to do with the Force. So stuff like Rogue One is probably one of my more favorite films. Didn't see Solo, so don't know about that one. Just the idea of what is life like in this universe away from all of our space wizards.
What's it like to not be a space wizard? Yeah.
Pretty much.
I dig that. Yeah.
We see the people going through with just all of the space wizard powers. How do you navigate without the space wizard powers?
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Star Wars has always been a part of my life. My dad loved Star Wars. We had the really long box of VHS that had Leonard Maltin interviews before the movies. So you had to either watch the Leonard Maltin interview with George Lucas or fast forward through it.
I forgot about that part of them.
And it was in some weird black room. As a little kid, I was like, I don't know who this person. I don't know who Leonard Maltin is. Like, I barely know who George Lucas is. But no, yeah, my dad loved it, so that was something we always bonded over. My dad is a famously nice person who likes everything, and I remember we saw the special edition in theaters. We saw A New Hope, and as we left, my dad went, "Well, we don't have to see the rest of these in theaters." He's like, we have them on VHS. It's fine. Like, but no, I grew up with the prequels, as well. so I do like them. I don't dislike the sequel trilogy. I like The Force Awakens, and I like parts of the other ones. And I love a lot of the other stuff Disney has done with Star Wars. I thought The Mandalorian was great. I really liked Solo. I know that is not necessarily a popular opinion. I thought Solo was super fun. I also saw that with my dad when we were on vacation, which is maybe why I also liked it. But the cartoons are great. I love Rebels and Clone Wars. I've watched half an episode of The Resistance, and it's certainly a TV show that I will try and watch more of. I think that's kind of where I'm at. So, speaking of all that, we're going to set this particular campaign in the prequel era. Hopefully, if everyone... I'm going to continue. This is a Star Warsy hand motion.
You will start in the Clone Wars era.
Hopefully we enjoy this game, and if we do, we will try and do other campaigns in other eras. I'd love to do a Rebellion campaign. I'd love to do a sequel era campaign. Hell, I'd love to do
Knights of Ren.
Yeah, something with the Knights of Ren.
The who?
Be cool.
Yeah, they
Speaking of wasted potential.
The guys that have real cool designs but then don't do anything.
Yeah.
Like how many? Every other trilogy only had one Boba Fett. Why do you need 6?
And they were just 6 times as useless as he was in the first trilogy.
I think I figured out why they don't have lightsabers, but that's never explained in any of the movies. It's because
that's because that movie
Crystals?
needed to be an hour longer so they could actually put all of the things in it that was in that movie.
It's because of crystals. It's because Starkiller Base is built on the Jedi planet that houses kyber crystals.
Oh, and it was destroyed.
And it was destroyed, and the First Order hollowed it out and took all the kyber crystals. So I believe that's why they don't have lightsabers. But then, how does anybody else have lightsabers? I don't know. Well, they keep reusing the same lightsaber.
But how did Rey get her yellow lightsaber at the end of the last movie then? If there's no more lightsabers.
That movie needed to be like an hour longer so we could actually see all of the important things that were in that movie.
Yeah,
what we needed to see was Colin Trevorrow's original treatment.
That's
what we needed to see. I've seen the Book of Henry, and I'm not a defender of it, but his plan, as described, sounded great to me.
Yeah, I feel, as Liz said earlier, Star Wars is saved in the edit. I feel like The Rise of Skywalker just needed a different editor, and not the guy who wrote Batman vs. Superman.
Yeah.
And now
less studio involvement.
And less studio involvement, because apparently that's how Palpatine gets in there, and that doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
It was fun, though. It was fun.
Oh, man. I absolutely love Palpatine. Ian McDiarmid can chew scenery all day, as far as I'm concerned.
I don't care how stupid Palpatine showing up is. Just getting to see Ian McDiarmid play Palpatine makes it worth it.
He's such a good part of the prequels. He's
the prequels are his movies.
Yeah,
his and
Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor, absolutely, because that's the story of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Really, I think.
I agree. I think he is the hero of it's.
He's in that third movie when he's you first see him on that lizard. He is the Jedi ideal realized. I mean, as far as being the goodly knight and all of that, and because he's not angry, he's not fighting anybody with any sort of dark intensity. He's just doing his shit. In
my mind, Obi-Wan in those movies, hello there, is exactly. Is the perfect Jedi. He is the epitome of the Jedi.
He's the Galahad or Percival of the Jedi Order. Yeah.
But he also doesn't...
Lancelot without the fault.
Yeah, but he also doesn't see... See, I almost think... Lancelot... but he doesn't see Camelot crumbling around him. He doesn't see that the rest of the Round Table is corrupt.
He's too virtuous. He doesn't... Yeah, he doesn't... He looks towards people's better natures. And that is his undoing because he's surrounded by... he's near Palpatine. Right.
Yeah, so, the dark side.
Who would think, right?
Marty says, before Obi-Wan takes on lying to teenagers as his full-time job.
Oh,
yeah.
It's a... It's a trope. It's a trope in fantasy fiction.
From a certain point of view, it all makes sense. From a certain point of view. I'm sorry, is the fate of the galaxy in hand, old Ben? Can you not tell me a fucking riddle?
I really hope that slap picked up on my mic.
It definitely did.
It did.
But yeah, him and Yoda are dicking around, and it's like, the galaxy, everybody. You waited 20 years. Like, can we get to it?
And people wonder why Luke Skywalker turned out to be such a bad Jedi Master. It's like he has these two idiots as his mentors.
That's why he should have been better, because he was better than them in the end.
He was too old. And one of them, and his masters died before any training could be finished. I mean, then the Force Ghost thing comes in and invalidates all that shit. Like, why weren't they there the whole time then? If they could just snap up, why weren't they like zapping him? Like, why aren't they his cover? When he's going in against Jabba, why isn't Yoda zapping lightning people? I don't know.
In the original draft of Return of the Jedi, Yoda and Ben show up as ghosts to fight Palpatine.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
It would have been interesting. It would have been weird.
I have to say also, I really enjoyed Rogue One. It's kind of one of my favorite ones because, again, it is removed from the plot convenience of everything being about everyone we already know or someone who's related to them. And it's just about an event and people who are plausibly involved in that event. And the only person with any connection to what we know is Darth Vader.
I think it is my favorite movie.
Absolutely.
The
characters are great. I love them.
Yeah, I love KTSO. Like, my only problem with Rogue One is it fixes a quote plot hole that in my mind never existed, which is the thermal exhaust port was a purposeful design flaw. It was just a design flaw. Like, it didn't have to be purposeful to me. I still like that movie, but
the way I saw the design flaw was that you got to have an exhaust port on a giant spaceship that you're using. So, like, they made it as small as humanly possible so that it would actually still work. They didn't, realize that people were actually going to try to do something with it. That's why they filled a trench full of guns that could take out people.
That's true.
Yeah, and they don't.
Why
know
else would you guard that trench?
Yeah, and they don't. Yeah, see, exactly. Why else would the trench be guarded if they didn't
Otherwise,
know?
they just zip in, and it would be all covered up from above.
And Tarkin gets to scream about how it's his hour of triumph, where he wants a green dot overtake a red circle or something. Whatever he's doing. I mean, there's no window.
That is always going to be one of my favorite things about just Star Wars in general is because of when the original films came out, all of the technology, at least display-wise and screen-wise, has to seem old.
It's so weird and cool.
So good though.
Oh, it's great. What was it? Oh, one of my favorite Star Wars facts is Peter Cushing hated wearing those boots. So every time you see Tarkin, he's basically always filmed from the waist up, and he's wearing slippers.
Yep.
I fucking love it.
Because he refused to wear his boots.
Yep. So he wears boots in a promo shot, and that's it. It's slippers the rest of the time.
Slippers and the title Moff kind of go together.
Yeah, he's just shuffling around the Death Star.
The Moff gets to wear the casual dress. Show up in the boots.
It was actually kind of hilarious because apparently Peter Cushing was always bummed out he could never appear in another Star Wars because his character died.
Oh, well, that's a bummer.
So it was
because he's great.
Yeah, then they do it after he's dead. Yeah, he's a wonderful actor. Always has.
Yeah,
Speaking of wasted potential.
Yeah, he's got some of my favorite bits of just all of just anytime Vader's on screen and Vader does something, you can see Tarkin being like, "What is this guy doing?" What in our moment of triumph? And, I just love Tarkin. He's a terrible person, but that's the other reason why I like Star Wars. All the villains are just the fucking worst, and they're all usually played by great actors.
Yep.
They're all irredeemably terrible.
Marty Grant is a wonderful addition. He's a great actor, but again, That movie I'm not in love with. I love Adam Driver as Kylo Ren. I think he's a fantastic actor. I love Daisy Ridley. I loved all the cast. I just sad with what they did, what they had to work with.
Whoever was doing Adam Driver's fight choreography was just like, because every other lightsaber fighter we've seen fights like they have like some sort of katana or something. He actually looked like a longswordsman, like a fencer in all of his stances and poses. It was so good.
Yeah,
they gave him a lightsaber with a crossguard, and they gave him the actions to move it. Made me so happy.
Yeah, I believe you. Absolutely.
If there's anything irredeemably positive I could say about the sequels, is that cast is amazing, and they're all doing a great job. Like, I can fault character arcs. I can't fault a single performance in there.
No.
I love Adam Driver's Kylo Ren. Daisy Ridley's great. John Boy, they're all great. Like, they're all just great. And yeah, I love Kylo Ren's fight choreography because it is different. Like, Ray Park's fight choreography is awesome in The Phantom Menace because he's being a martial artist and flipping around and he's fighting with a staff. We've never seen that before. But yeah, then do something different again in The Force Awakens and make them fight like they have a fucking broadsword.
It's cool. It's very cool. I also like the sort of leaning into the anger and fear side of the Force and really seeing that with his portrayal. Like his angry, I mean, you see the fear really with Anakin, adult Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
But the anger is really there with Ren, with Kylo. Which is rooted in faith. Anyway, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. No, totally. What was I going to say one more thing. I got distracted by all the bees in chat. What?
They're good bees.
There are good bees. It's just...
I'm surprised Jay hasn't started a bit war yet.
Because I shouldn't be buying bits right now.
And Jay got the bees, so...
I hope the Pride emotes don't go away. They're very, very fun.
Normally, what they have done with them in the past is the most popular few will stick around. So
Okay.
whichever ones get globally the most use on Twitch generally hang around, because all of the original Pride emotes, the ones that are the hands making the heart with the flag in the middle of them,
Mm-hmm.
were supposed to be temporary, and they just made those ones permanent. So we'll see what happens with these ones.
Okay, yeah. I remember what it was. This was something Timothy said earlier about the lived-in feel of, or Jay, someone said it. The lived-in feel of
Timothy that mentioned that one, but like.
I also love the lived-in feel, but I also love that in the prequels we don't have the lived-in feel, that we see what the galaxy was like in the core at the height. It's it's the 30s versus the 70s. It's everything's all cool
absolutely.
and Art Deco and chrome, and then in the 70s everything's shag carpet and dingy and soot stained. Like, so I've always approved.
Right.
I know that is sometimes a complaint of the prequels is they don't look like Star Wars because they're not supposed to look like that Star Wars. That's just my opinion. But okay. We've talked about Star Wars for 25 minutes, and you know what?
Hey, let's talk about a role-playing game.
We could talk about Star Wars for probably another hour and a half. So
we could probably talk about Star Wars for days if, like, we got all hands on deck.
Oh, for sure. I mean, how many episodes have been 10 minutes delayed because we're talking about Star Wars? It's a lot of them. It's most of them.
It's many of them.
Okay. So, Star Wars, the role-playing game, it's backwards for everyone. That's okay. Is a D6 system. The only thing you all will need is a handful of D6. Yep.
Got him.
It will help if one of them is a different color or easily differentiated. So if you have maybe pips on one and numbers on the other, or vice versa, or if you just remember, like, I have a blue one or whatever. If you don't, we'll figure it out. Or if you don't, There's an easy way to do it, which is you just roll a handful, and then you roll a single die afterwards.
That's the wild die?
That's the wild die. So the wild die is actually something from later rules, but I like it, so we're going to use it. So
Cool.
Whenever you roll a handful of dice, let's say you're shooting your blaster, and you roll 3d6. You'll roll 1 wild die and then 2d6. You add them all together, but if the wild die is a 6, you roll it again. If it's another 6, you roll it again, so it keeps exploding. If it's a 1, you can still succeed on the total roll, but something bad might happen. There's a complication. So you might roll 5d6 and get, 25. And you get 1 or whatever. So you're probably still going to succeed in whatever you're trying to do, but a complication happens. You shoot a stormtrooper, they fall over, but they hit the alarm panel or something.
We're fine. Everything's fine down here.
Yeah,
How
exactly.
are you?
Okay. So, the basics of the system is for every attribute you have a dice code, and then under that are a set of skills. If you have no extra dice in the skills, you just roll the attribute. If you are specialized in those skills, if you're Han Solo, you have a blaster skill, you're good at shooting blasters. If you're R2-D2, you're good at repairing things. If you're Luke Skywalker, you're a Jedi. But you're also a good pilot and stuff like that. You can have more specialized skills. So underneath, let's see. Let me pull up a character template, they are called. So for instance, under dexterity is stuff like blaster, parry, dodge, grenade, lightsaber. Knowledge, stuff like bureaucracy. I love any system that has a bureaucracy skill.
Can we roll to cackle?
Yeah, I think so. That's a perception score. So the attribute names in this are perhaps a little different than D&D. For instance, dexterity and strength are pretty self-explanatory. But strength is also strength is also constitution in this game. It determines how well you withstand hits. Perception is like wisdom and charisma put together, kind of. Knowledge is intelligence and wisdom, and then technical and mechanical are more, technical and mechanical. It's piloting ships, repairing things, that kind of stuff. So the very basics of the system are rolling d6s. You're trying to beat difficulty numbers that are roughly every 5. 5 is easy, 10's normal, 15's a little more difficult, so on up to 30. 30 will be the hardest thing you have to do. That's plotting like a hyperspace lane without a nav computer is a 30. You can do it. If you're good enough at your job and you have enough star charts, you can do it, but it's going to be difficult without a nav computer. Let's see. What else is there? There's a couple different ways to do initiative. They change in every edition. So we might mess around with it and see what we like. But the basic rules are everyone declares their actions, and then you roll your dice, and whoever has the highest goes first. So if you're like, I want to shoot that stormtrooper, everybody else says like, okay, I want to shoot this, I want to run away, I want to protect the princess. And the person, Han Solo, is like, I want to shoot the stormtrooper. Rolls a bunch of dice, gets really high, he gets to go first. He might stun the stormtrooper, which affects everybody's turn. You can declare to do basically as many things as you want on your turn. but the more things you do, the worse you are at all of them. So if you want to, if Han Solo wants to shoot 5 times, he can shoot 5 times, but for each action he's taking, he lowers his skill by 1. So if he has 6 dice and he wants to shoot 5 times, he just rolls 1 die for each shot. Depending on the situation, that might actually be useful if he's like point blank range and he's just laying blaster into somebody for some reason. It's that loose wrist, as Marty says, as we like to make fun of him for. It's just, he has no wrist control with that gun. That's all over the place.
I mean, have you ever held a broom handle before? They're pretty front-heavy guns.
It's a broom handle with a scope on it. Or no, it's a... Yeah.
It's a broom handle. It's the Mauser pistol.
That's it, okay. So there's that. You can... and then the other thing is, let's say you take an action on your turn, it happens, and then someone shoots at you, you dodge on their turn, essentially, but you've already done something in the combat round, so your dodge is slightly lower than before, so it's penalized. So you have to kind of think, you might want to be like, okay, I want to do like 3 things on my turn. I want to shoot these guys, and if I'm a Jedi, use Force Push or something like that. Well, then you have to worry, well, if they're all standing and they shoot at me, my dodge is going to be terrible, and I'm just going to get shot.
So you could go, hey, I might want to attack and dodge, sort of plan that.
And plan it out, yep.
And so then your attack, when you do the combat round, is counted for that, and so then your dodge consequently would have some penalty, but not as bad as it was?
But not as bad a penalty. Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Exactly. When you're hit, you have to make an opposed strength roll, essentially, and then there's a chart. It's a little old school in that way. I might, if we don't like that, I might see if there's a newer, updated system, because it is a lot of, attack, dodge, damage, strength check. It's a lot of back and forth on dice. It might in play just run real quickly and not be too bad. That is the thing that I'm like a little bit like, oh, that's a lot of back and forth. I don't always love that. But again, I've never played this system. It's popular. It's withstood the test of time for a reason. So I'd like to see how it plays before I mess with it too much.
Sure.
It's basically ship combat works similarly. There are scales to worry about, though. An X-wing versus a Star Destroyer they're working on 2 very different scales.
Very different scales.
Like a group of X-wings can fight a Star Destroyer, but there's capital ship combat and stuff like that. So that when that comes up, we'll kind of walk through it. And when all this stuff comes up for the first time in game, we'll stop and walk our way through it. The Force, because we have several Force users on this stream. The Force is broken into 3 skills: Alter, Control, and Sense. Sense is reaching out with your feelings. Control is... I'm trying to think what an example of control is. I think control is like telekinesis, but that might be alter. Let's see.
Alter is like healing and stuff, or?
That's... Okay, so let's see. Control. Okay, so control is like control pain, accelerate your own healing. It's all stuff. It's a lot of stuff for yourself for control. You can put yourself to sleep. You can essentially cast feign death on yourself.
Oh, cool.
You can remain conscious, like if you're in if you're on Hoth, for instance, and you've like, I need to stay awake. You can try and use the Force to do that.
Oh, so it's like body mastery kind of thing.
Yeah,
like personal body mastery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then alter is about other things.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So let's see. So alter is alter is telekinesis. You can injure/kill someone with the Force.
Right.
That's bad, by the way. You shouldn't do that. You get dark side points. There is a dark side mechanic. And then Sense is stuff like trying to reach out with your mind to read someone's mind, magnifying your own senses, scanning a room for life forms. My favorite one, instinctive astrogation. Luke Skywalker just knows where Dagobah is because of the Force.
Oh.
And then certain things combine powers, so you have to make multiple skill checks using those same rules we talked about. So, for instance, control and sense is putting your thoughts into, is projective telepathy, is telling someone what you're thinking. You know, it's Luke reaching out.
Force time?
Yeah, it's Luke reaching out to Leia when he's hanging off the weather thing in Bespin. It's seeing the future or a distant place. And then using all three Force powers at once is Jedi mind tricks, and you can do some... It talks about doing some crazy stuff with Jedi mind tricks, and that you can do modify memory stuff with Jedi mind tricks. Yeah, they had to blow up the shield generator first before... oh, I know that A-Wing pilot's name. It's like Arvin or something like that. Spirals into the Star Destroyer in Return of the Jedi.
Andy, I'm so glad that you know his name.
I do. I can tell you lots of... useful shit. I know...
you go into Porkins' backstory for me.
Sure. He's a pilot. If in the old canon, he died because he was fat, which is terrible, because he messed with his sensor controls because he weighed too much. I hate
Seriously?
that I know that. Yes.
That's in a book or something?
That's in a book. It's because he had to mess with the... Because he's too low. That's how he dies. He crashes because he's too low. Because he messed with all of the weight things. It's so dumb. Yeah, there's Porkins.
Also, they named their one fat pilot Porkins.
Yeah.
So good job, Lucas.
Technically, he used to be a pig person. He used to be a Gamorrean, which is why his name is Porkins. And then they're just like, I don't know, the fat guy, I guess. It's not good.
That's like the Jon Favreau story about him
Boy,
getting
the
cast
70s
in
were a
Shawshank.
time.
It's not Temmin Wexley's dad, Marty. Snap. Temmin Wexley. My least favorite Star Wars character. He's in a book and the prequels. He's Greg Grunberg in the sequel trilogy, rather.
College roommate.
Yeah, he's just in every... And he's in a book, and I just don't like that book. Let's see. But the A-Wing pilot? The A-Wing pilot, it's not his mom. Anyway, we'll talk about this later. His mom is in the books. Although there is a woman in Return of the Jedi who is dubbed by a man for some reason. One of the pilots. It's a woman, and they just got a man to dub her. I don't know why. Okay. The other thing about the Force in this game is basically it's not like spells in D&D. You don't have to learn them. You just know how to use the Force. You can try and use it creatively. And if you see something in the movies or read something in a book, I'll just figure out which skill it uses and we'll do it. And you can have degrees of success with the Force. You know, if you roll a 5, something might happen. If you roll a 10, something better might happen. That kind of stuff. Arvel Cyranid, that's it. That's Green Leader in Return of the Jedi. Let me think what else. You can deflect blaster bolts with a lightsaber, because of course you can. You can hurt people with that.
Can I stop a blaster bolt in midair?
Mm-hmm. It'd be difficult, but I would let you try and roll for it. Yeah.
So anything that's happened in any of canon, current or past?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, including Rebels, where they went back in time, where they learned time travel.
That's different, and that's a very specific place that lets you do that.
All right, if you know where that is, let's go.
This movie
yeah.
is new
Yeah,
to me.
no.
And we'll go to the Old Republic. We can get all the games we want in.
But
All
also,
the styles in one game. If we time travel.
Also, Dave Filoni explained the time travel in the Star Wars universe because you can't use it to directly change the past or present.
He just uses it to save his favorite character.
He did. Look. Yes, that is true. But she has to go back, technically, and then get out a different way. Look, she's also my favorite character, so I'm okay with it.
Ahsoka Tano.
Ahsoka Tano, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward. You know, I haven't checked out The Mandalorian, but hearing that Rosario Dawson is going to be in the series, you know, I love Pedro Pascal too, but my brother gave me his Disney Plus password, so I will probably dive in.
Yeah, you need to watch it, and then you need to watch the making of series because it is also extremely good.
Yeah, it is.
Cool. Yeah, I've seen
just,
some stills.
Yeah, it's just people who love Star Wars talking about Star Wars. It's great.
Yeah, it had a tech nerd just like, oh my god, I love all this shit.
The way
they're doing.
Yeah, the way they film that show is fascinating.
Oh, it's so cool.
Because it's none of it's green.
Oh, with the live.
With the live videos. Oh, it's so cool.
You can just go and be in a Star Wars.
Costume design.
Well, that must really help the immersion. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jay.
How much did they go into the costume design? Because, like, I have considered more than once putting together a suit of Mandalorian armor.
I think they've had an episode over it, have they?
I only watched the first one so far, so I'm not sure yet. But
I think I've only watched the first 3 or so.
Let me look real fast.
A lot of cosplay.
I hope they. The only other thing I could think is you might be able to find a 501st video, like the cosplay organization video.
I know who it is. I know who the chapter of that is. I just, you know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like having time to do those things.
Yeah, because they have a specific Mandalorian chapter at this point, right?
Merc's Fire Spray.
Okay, cool. Yeah. The Fire Spray is the type of ship that Boba Fett drives. That's the brand. Anyway, I really like Star Wars. Okay.
What? Since when? You didn't tell me.
You like Star Wars? What?
That's so weird. Me too.
Marty's yelling at me in chat.
I mean, good.
Yeah. Okay, so let me very briefly talk about the dark side because Timothy and I have talked about the dark side a little bit in character backstory, and then we're going to start talking about character backstories. So the way the dark side works is if you... Oh, let me back up one. Every character, including non-Force users, get Force points. Force points aren't used to use the Force or anything like that. They're like fate points from the fate system. You just use them to double your dice pool. So for a Jedi, it might literally be them believing in the Force. For a droid or something like that, it's just to represent, kind of the luck of the hero in Star Wars. It's C-3PO tripping down a thing and somehow, or Jar Jar Binks tripping and somehow something explodes 25 feet away. So it doesn't have to mechanically literally be the Force related. If you do it for something heroic, something, heroic, you get an additional Force point at the end of the adventure. If you do it for something kind of normal, you get 1 Force point back at the end of the adventure. If you do it for something cowardly, you permanently lose a Force point. And if you do it for something evil, you gain a dark side point. You always have 1 Force point, but you can obviously collect more than 1 Force point. And you can also lose any Force points above 1. Bless you, Jay. Sorry. The way dark side points work, if you do something evil, kind of repeatedly, I will eventually start rolling dice back here, and if I get a number lower than your dark side rating, you fall to the dark side. So that means if you do one bad thing in your life, there is no way you are going to fall to the dark side. Everybody makes a mistake because I can't roll below a 1.
Not with that kind of attitude.
But if it becomes a habit and you start doing more and more things to the dark side, it is possible you will fall. If you have dark side points, you roll more dice to use the force. The dark side is not stronger, but it is faster and easier to use. So mechanically, for like a bounty hunter or whatever, they're not. If they have a couple dark side points, it doesn't even really benefit them to use. But they're also less likely to get dark side points because there are certain force powers you use, you just automatically get a dark side point. If you force choke someone to death, if you use force lightning, that kind of stuff. Okay. So, does anybody have any questions? I know that was a lot of stuff up front. And obviously, when we're playing, questions are going to come up. So, and that's perfectly fine. But
not as of yet, I guess. Are we? I know. Do we have ideas about, or rather, are there rules about playing different species? Are there races or whatever peoples? Droids, what have you? And
yes.
How does that affect character creation?
So droids are built very differently than other characters, and we'll talk about that with Jay in a second. For aliens, there are technically different rules. I'm not going to use them because it's very much.
So we'll just have the same.
We're just going to go because it's kind of the debate that's happening in D&D right now. It just changes your starting stats, and everyone starts with 2. If you want to be a strong Wookiee, you can be a strong Wookiee. That's totally doable and easy. If you don't want to be a strong Wookiee, you never ate your vegetables, and now you're not a strong Wookiee. Or raw
trees.
Meat carcass, and you never climbed your trees.
Raised on Twizzlers and Gatorade.
Yeah.
Right?
But if you do play someone, like I know you mentioned a Togruta, and they have Leku. I don't remember if they use Leku to communicate with other Twi'leks, but like any kind of flavory stuff like that.
It says they can.
Okay.
Like they have some facility, they're not as dexterous with them as the Twi'leks are. Like that's kind of more their way of communicating in general.
Mm-hmm.
But there was something about using them to sense your environment, and I didn't know if that's like some sort of racial trait.
If there's stuff like that, we can maybe talk about incorporating it in. Maybe you get an extra die or something like that. But yeah, if you pick like an Aqualish or something and you want to breathe underwater, you just breathe underwater. It's kind of not that big a deal in Star Wars because technology is so kind of, Han Solo walks into space with like a little mask on ostensibly in some point, like
that's extreme social distancing.
Yes. Yeah, Millennium
6
Falcon's
million feet apart.
Falcon's big enough that they could probably all stand 6 feet apart. We only see 3 parts of it, but okay.
The lounge is pretty roomy, as I recall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all spread out in there, and there's Lando's ape closet. That's in Solo.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched that yet.
Lando, that is, I don't feel like that's a spoiler. Lando's capes come up several times.
No, that is perfectly on character.
Yeah.
Well, I love Donald Glover and Phoebe Waller-Bridge too, so I'm interested in their interplay because I know that they play off each other.
Yeah, I really liked Solo. It's not perfect, but part of that is because it was refilmed essentially. The whole thing was basically reshot.
Right.
And parts of it feel like that because there's like some special effects things, and you're kind of like, yeah, this was already done, so they had to work around this.
Yeah, and I love what's his name, Paul Bettany, but Michael K. Williams from The Wire was the original villain. What an actor! Like just thinking, and he couldn't do the reshoot because he was doing another film.
Yeah, he was.
So,
he was supposed to be an alien too, so I think that was another problem, is they couldn't redo the special effects. I can't remember what kind of alien he was supposed to be, but I think it was like a full like he did mocap for it. Like he's in it, but
it was
like
entirely CG.
I think
like
it was
with
whole
Lupita.
CGI.
Oh, that's a drag.
Anyway,
Anyway.
Paul Bettany is great in it, but yes, that is a shame that they had to change the actors.
Yeah.
Oh yes, so I'm not going to play with different species giving you different base stats. I think that's
Great.
It's just easier, and we'll talk about because Jay, you basically get to build a droid. Like there's a bit of a complicated system, but you get like you can pick tools and stuff like that, and change your movement, and you could take away like you could like instead of having 2 arms, if you just have one, that buys you more points and stuff like that. It's a little complicated, but there's 2 ways we can do it. We can do a little complicated or a little easier, and I'm down for either way. So let's see. So let's. I'm trying to think how we should talk about characters. Let me talk about Marty's character since he's not here real fast. So,
Let's talk about him while he's not here.
Yeah.
You can make up whatever you want about him.
So Marty's character is
Playing Ewok.
He's playing an Ewok Jedi who loves Master Yoda. No,
He's a Master Yoda fan.
it's a Master Yoda fanboy.
He dresses up like Master Yoda, actually. It works out because he's an Ewok, so
yeah.
they're roughly the same size.
And he dyes himself green.
He's his bodyguard. Amidala had them.
I don't remember Master Yoda
Or,
being
his
this
stunt
fuzzy,
double, whatever.
but yeah.
Decoy. That's what it is. Decoy. He's been nearly assassinated 15 times.
Yeah.
Oh, we got it wrong. It's not just Ewok, it's half Rhodian, half Ewok. Sorry.
love it.
That's going to be an interesting look right there. Weird little snout nose, big beady eyes, all furry. Neither of them blink. So Marty's character is a Jedi Master who screams McClunky at all opportunities.
Oh, like with Tourette's? Love it.
Marty's character is a Jedi Master, a contemporary of Qui-Gon Jinn, and she kind of was razzled by the death of Qui-Gon Jinn at the hands of a dark side Force user. Like, are we not talking about how the Sith are back, everybody? Great one, lizard people again. That was pre-show yesterday. Just wait for Kathy Ireland to be revealed to be the Dark Lord of the Sith.
Oh, I love it.
Ireland, Marty's
Oh yeah, Marty's
you in
one step
chat.
ahead of you.
Yep.
Darth Ireland.
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
There's a conspiracy theory we'll talk about later.
Lizard people look like people, taste like lizard.
So we talked about Marty's character being a former a Jedi Master, who Timothy was one of her former students, and Liz is her current student, and kind of had very different teaching styles for Timothy's character and Liz's character. One was a little more like new school, like, well, what do you think about it? How does that make you feel? For Timothy, and then kind of after being kind of shaken to the core is a little more helicopter parenty for Liz.
Particularly since I left
So
the Jedi Order. Right.
yeah, so and then we can talk about kind of how that affects both Timothy and Liz. But I think that's the very basics of it. Certainly get into more details for when Marty is here to talk about it and as we play through the series. So Timothy, why don't you kind of talk about what you were thinking and perhaps how that affected you?
Yeah. Basically, I feel like I don't even know Marty's. We don't have names yet, so that's fine. But my teacher's style was very. I took to it. I really liked them. But I had sort of my own ideas about things because I was encouraged to, including about her teaching style, probably their teaching style, and attained the rank of knight. And then once that happened, there was an incident that led me to use the Force in anger, and however justified I may have been or felt myself to have been doing that, I noticed that, and I didn't feel like it was necessarily wrong, but I knew that it wasn't Jedi. So I sort of, it's like once you see a truth, you can't unsee it. So I feel like my leave taking was difficult, but not hostile, not like, you suck, man, not like that or anything. It was like, I can't do this. It's not me kind of thing. And there being this, and bittersweet aspect to the leave taking, because I feel like, raised from childhood as this is the system, right?
Mm-hmm.
So their mom, especially, I believe Marty is playing a woman character, yes. So they're basically a mother surrogate. So there's a leaving home and leaving. So there's a lot of that in the backstory. I also don't know how, we haven't decided any of this. So how much time has been since that?
Oh, sure,
now,
yeah.
when we start,
is it fresh, or has it kind of healed in any way, and now we're prying open wounds?
Right, and/or were things seemingly cool, but in the distance, when you're apart, you think about things or you wonder about things, and you can fill in blanks that maybe don't exist and jump to conclusions or make assumptions about things, particularly if you're not in touch with people. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I think that there's potential for all of that. I feel like they're kind of gray curious, if that makes sense, because they felt, and that's where the difficulty was, they felt justified in what they did, and clearly recognized this doesn't work with the system I've been operating in. So there.
So is it kind of the thing where they're exploring almost Force traditions like outside of the Jedi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think that, you can't walk away from that kind of thing if you've been taught away. That's my thing. It's not like, I will never play D&D again. You know what I mean? You can't swear off something that's sort of, or you could, but it'd be very difficult. But there's a way of life. There's a view of, like, I feel like my character views all the Force stuff with joy. Like it's a relationship with this living thing that really enhances his experience and makes him feel like life is great. And then once sort of they had got more structured, mom is sort of loosey-goosey and encouraging that kind of thing, using the term mom in lieu of any other name. And yet, so I find my way, and then when I get it graduated and in sort of, okay, now I've got responsibilities or what have you, maybe feeling a little bit of this doesn't feel like my experience of this, So, I don't know that they've reached a decision. I think they're a seeker. Like, I think I put it as a seeker who is, not sure what they're looking for.
Okay. And not, yes, like, lowercase s seeker, because a Jedi seeker, capital S, is one who goes to try and find Force-sensitive children. So, which might be something you also did at some point. Yeah, no, it's a little weird.
I could see that, and I could see
Yeah.
that because I also feel like, growing like, are we saying that we grew up in Coruscant, right? That's
Okay, so
where we're based.
I would let you and Marty talk about that a little bit. I'm trying to remember if I actually said what year we're going to set this in. I don't know if I said it aloud on the stream. You all know. But this is set 2 years before Attack of the Clones. So it's between The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. It's the High Republic, but the cracks are starting to show. Count Dooku has said, "Hey, fuck all y'all, I'ma leave," and has started to try and get other star systems to leave with him. Padme, Senator Amidala, has been attempted to be killed no less than 58 times for some reason. I know why the first time, but man, Newt Gunray holds a grudge. So I would let you and Marty kind of talk about that. Is it one of those things where you're like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, where you're kind of all over the place, or was your master kind of... Now, we kind of seek knowledge in the temple. We go through artifacts. We go through the library, the archives. And then maybe if that is the case and you leave the Order and you're like, I don't ever want to set foot on Coruscant again. Like, if that's kind of the rebellion aspect of that, of just like, the galaxy's huge.
Right. I think that my feeling is, however we work out what our path was, is that any time spent in Coruscant is less pleasurable than time spent off Coruscant, barring, Darth Vader's planet. I forgot the M one. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, barring something like that. But basically, digging the whole exploring the universe side of things would be totally cool. Going to temples would actually be kind of cool too, I think. But being in the city, probably not as cool. Especially the super city that is Coruscant. I just think that would, particularly given the taste of something else, that would be like, whoa, there's something else. Like, maybe it's challenging as a Force user to be in Coruscant because there's so much energy, right? And so maybe it's like when you get out of white noise and you realize your brain has been tensing against that air conditioner sound for 20 hours that you've been filtering out, and then you realize, oh my god, you feel that brain relax. Like, I think that was probably something that encouraged the whole thing too.
Interesting.
So you're describing going force backpacking across the galaxy, and I love it.
I am on board.
Basically, yeah. I'm taking my gap year or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and your life has been so structured up, and even when you have a kind of a new school teacher who's just like, whatever, the Jedi Order is structure. It's an organized religion. Like, you joined a monastic order.
Right.
So yeah, I'm on board. Do you carry a lightsaber?
I think I do. Okay. I think I made it. And I think that, well, I think, right, that's the test. We all may have to make it.
Yeah, you have to make. Yeah, you have made a lightsaber, but I just wanted to know, like, had you forsaken it? Sorry, no. Famous Wreck in chat says you're on Jedi Rumspringa.
Oh, I have a lightsaber, man. I made it out of like twigs and crystals.
It's real cool. But yeah, no, you can totally have a lightsaber. Yeah. One of the trials a Jedi has to complete is making their own lightsaber. So,
right.
You certainly have one. You might have more than one.
Right. I mean, I feel like if when I left, I was given any like, oh well, you're gonna turn in your room, I'd be like, I made this. See ya.
Oh, this is mine. It's got my name on it. So
yeah, it's kind of me. No.
Yeah. And
yeah, Togruta, probably 3 head things because they have two and 4, I think. Kind of yeah. So I'll get like 1 in the back and then 2 in the side.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So, did you want to use one of the templates from the rules, or create your own? You can do either.
You mean as far as the traits and stuff, or as far as the dice attribution?
So, and
equipment and stuff.
So, the way character creation works is there are one of two things you can do for humanoid, alienoid characters. You can either pick a template, and then you get all of those attributes, and then you get 7 skill dice, and you can place them however you'd like. Alternatively, if you'd like, you can spend 18 dice at the start to increase attributes. You can't have anything lower than 2 or higher than 4 or 5. I'd have to double check that. And
the attributes being how many dice you have?
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
So,
okay. Yeah, like as in the Failed Jedi template has 2D plus 2 dex, 3D plus 1 perception, 3D plus 1 knowledge, etc. So, and this totals to 18 dice, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
So I could parse them out any way you're saying, up to a max of 4. Because I noticed that, Gambler has 4D for perception, so that looks like the max, and the minimum looks like 2.
It's 2, yes.
So it's 2 to 4.
Yeah.
Or unless there's a 5, I can't see on
I
it.
don't
I didn't print all the templates out. So
let me look at Wookiee real fast, because I figure Wookiee will probably be as strong as they get.
Absolutely.
And especially in this. Oh, are these not in alphabetical order? Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Nope.
They're just together. Lumped.
Okay, a Wookiee is a 5 strength.
They're also sideways in this PDF, which is why I have my head tilted.
And then they flip back and forth, too.
Yeah, they're sideways and printed upside down in the book. It's a real pain. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, layout opportunities in the past.
5D of strength.
Right.
Yeah. So
okay, so cool. So between...
let me just double check. Other characters, 81.
I mean, I don't know if I'd want to... Because, okay, basically the way it's set up is the highest is perception, which makes sense, I guess, and knowledge. As far as the Failed Jedi template, then it's 2 for everything else, and there's a plus variable points. Those points come from what? The +2, +1, etc.
So that means so +2, +1, they essentially broke their dice up during character creation, and that means you roll 2 dice and you always add 2 to it. So it's 2 dice plus 2. There's +2 is the highest modifier you can get, because an average D6 roll is 3. So it is possible to multiply that plus if you, for instance, spend a force point and you would roll 4D plus 2, you instead roll 8D plus 4.
Right.
So you might get 16 and then you add a 4 to it, so 20.
So I also see that it says 1D for control and sense, at least on the template. So I can portion out the force dice too? Or is it always just 1D?
No, so, okay. So if you want to build a template from scratch using the 18 dice, you can spend beginning dice to increase your force skills, starting with 1D in each. So then you essentially get 15 dice to spend for attributes. Otherwise, you can spend skill dice at a later time to do them. Because you are a Jedi Knight, I would give you extra points to spend in the Force.
Oh, cool. Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Can I come back with a decision on how I'm going to...
And you don't even have to make a decision tonight. Like, if you just wanted to kind of think about it and have questions up until the first episode. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to go through. And if you wanted to use the Gambler and then we figure out how many Force things you have after that. If you like the looks of, like, the Senator or whatever, and you're like, I like these skills better. Or, you know, if there's a scout or something like that, and you're just like, well, let's just add a couple Force things at the bottom, and we're good. We'll figure that out.
Great.
Liz, as the Jedi Padawan of Marty's character, what are you kind of thinking about, and how do you feel about this? All of a sudden, you heard this person was real cool and loosey-goosey, and all of a sudden they're all up in your biz.
I was thinking of doing sort of the opposite of Timothy, where instead of going like far out into the spiritual side of the Jedi, my character would be sort of more in the secular side. So, because like you have these Jedi who are these like sort of super hippie space wizards, but their main temple is on a planet that's just a city.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole thing is just a city. So it's like, how do you do that? And it's like, so I was thinking my character would be like a mechanic. Like, she sees like the humanity, because especially it's also the thing about the thing about droids in Star Wars is that they all have like different personalities, and Star Wars can't seem to decide whether or not they actually have a humanity and whether or not they matter, which is really weird.
It's weird. They feel pain.
And it's like, I think a couple of times they had the Jedi mind trick worked on them, so it's like, I think that's what happened, or else they were just too dumb.
They're easily fooled. Certain droids are certainly easily fooled, but yeah, it's. I like talking about droids. It's interesting.
Yes.
And we will talk about more droids soon. I feel like there's going to be a good connection between Jay and Liz's character. Okay, so that I love it. Yeah, why, if you're all into why'd you build the planet on this giant city, or the temple on this giant city, if you're not going to engage with the giant city, everybody?
Yeah, so it's very much finding, like, my character thought, finding the humanity inside the machine and inside, like, the whole structure of it. It's like, why were the Jedi so into, getting into politics, or at least settling themselves in a place where that's just all politics, but they refuse to go into it?
Because the Jedi suck.
They do.
Fucking love it. Like, yes, do it. Now question everything. Yes, because Obi-Wan talks about in the prequels. Obi-Wan talks about how politicians suck, and it's like, you keep meddling. You all keep meddling. You keep showing up to Senate votes, and you work for them. Like, oh man, they're so stupid in those movies. They're told that a Dark Lord of the Sith runs the Senate, and they're like, well, that can't be true.
Impossible.
I love the hubris of the Jedi. No, this is rad. Real cool, Liz. So had you looked at any of the templates, or did you want to create your own? Were you thinking about a human, a different alien species?
At first, I was thinking about making, like, at least having her be from the planet that Count Dooku's from, because that was like a lot of. It's like a forest planet, but they're. But apparently, like, the Count Dooku's dad was like pushing people out for droids, but then I remembered, like, changelings are a thing in Star Wars, and no one bothers to mention them.
No, yeah, Zam.
One of them shows up once for half a second in episode 2, and then they're never brought up again.
Yeah,
yeah, that's right.
Zam Wazell is the assassin hired by Boba Fett, or Jango Fett. Why did Jango Fett? You're an assassin. Why didn't you just do it?
You're an assassin, and you're a better one.
Yeah, and why did you make it obvious? Jango Fett's so weird. But yeah, Zam Wazell gets caught, so Jango Fett shoots them, and then's like, I have a jetpack, so I'm gonna make a big deal about flying away. You've been seen. Like, what was your plan?
Then, like, oh yeah, you were picked because you, like, beat 6 Jedis to death with your bare hands off screen, but then, like, you're just gonna keep shooting at Mace Windu. Tell me how that works out for you.
He does try and fly away, but his jetpack's broken.
That force kick.
It is that force kick. Let's see if changelings are called. Okay, let me see what Zam Wazell, if her species is called something different, or if she's just a changeling. Oh, she's a Claudite. Okay, I kind of knew that. Okay, yeah. If you want to be a changeling, I'm down.
Cool.
Yeah, they look like weird reptile people when they're not shapeshifting, but you can shapeshift to be whatever you want.
Which probably a homage to the whole shapeshifters ruling our planet.
Yeah,
don't you think?
Yeah.
Don't you think that's why they're lizard people, the shapeshifters? I mean, it's the obvious chameleon thing, but like,
now
George
probably
Lucas just getting meta about it. Or the design department, they're like, well, if they're shapeshifters, make them lizard people.
the secret Illuminati member of Star Wars.
Totally.
I don't need to think about George Lucas reptilians right now. I've got enough going on in my brain.
Look, George Lucas is made of CGI at this point. I think we can all agree on that. Chat is on board with Jango Fett being kind of the worst right now.
Absolutely.
Armor's real cool. That's about it. Oh, and speaking of The Mandalorian and Tamara Morrison, he's supposed to show up in Mandalorian Season 2.
I heard.
I don't know if it's as Boba Fett or, fingers crossed, Captain Rex. I hope it's Captain Rex.
I think it'll be that.
I hope so.
Do you think Boba Fett will also show up as a character?
Both.
Well,
think?
Let Boba Fett actually be cool. Don't erase all of the rad stuff that happened in canon after the movies, please.
So Timothy Oliphant's character is playing a character who finds Boba Fett's armor, and he wears it, and he becomes like a sheriff mayor of a town on Tatooine. So they could do Captain Rex shows up, which would be rad. They could also do Tamara Morrison shows up, and he's just like, "That's my fucking armor," and Boba Fett's back to be like, "I'm taking that."
I kind of think that could also happen, definitely. Especially if, where did his armor, if he went into the Sarlacc, where did his armor go? How did it get off him? Without him taking it off himself.
I guess that
after climbing out, right?
Yeah, I guess the Sarlacc could have spit his armor out.
Oh, pooped it out as shells or whatever?
Yeah, pooped it out as shells.
The way what owls do with mice,
yeah.
Mice pieces.
Yes!
A little Boba pellet.
Yeah.
That's what they call it, a mouse.
Yeah. But it's supposed to take
Boba
1,000 years for a Sarlacc pit to be able to digest you. The pit of Carcoon.
Maybe the roughage of the armor made him vomit him out.
Okay, yeah, or a flamethrower. I mean, he's all missiles in that thing.
I mean, that's actually
if he's
what
not
happened.
instantly squished by digestive muscles, or if he isn't being,
That's actually how he got out in Legacy canon. Is he flamethrowered his way out through the side of the Sarlacc and crawled up through sand.
Oh my god.
Makes sense.
So yeah, I mean the other weird thing about the other interesting. Sorry, we'll get back to this show in a second. The other thing they could do with it is in canon the Fets aren't Mandalorians; they just have Mandalorian armor. So the Mandalorian could be like, you don't deserve to have that, and go find him for it because he wants a jetpack or something. I want it. Give it to me.
Is that how Mandalorians work? It's always been a cultured, not an... Okay.
Hey,
okay.
George Lucas has said Jango Fett stole it from a Mandalorian. He doesn't follow the code or anything like that. Because there's an episode of the Clone Wars where the Prime Minister of Mandalore, who sounds a lot like Tim Curry but isn't voiced by Tim Curry, even though Tim Curry is in the Clone Wars cartoon. He says Jango Fett is a pathetic bounty hunter. I don't know how he got that armor. He's not a Mandalorian. So I don't know. I always thought he was a Mandalorian.
That's new to me because I'm used to the Fets being a really old Mandalorian clan. So
yeah, both Jango and Boba were Mandalore at some point, but that is not true in new canon. Sorry. Just a pouring rain or something. I didn't know it was supposed
hail.
to be that. Yeah,
it hailed here. It was intense. It's tropical. Sheets of rain and hail.
Okay. Liz, was there anything else you wanted to say about your character? Or we can talk about the Mandalorian.
I guess it would just be... age, because
okay.
I was thinking she would be sort of a contemporary to Anakin, but I don't know if that's more contemporary in that Anakin apparently started training at age 9. So would she be on the younger scale and she's 12 and they're technically contemporaries because they were both babies when they started, or would she be 19 and really pissed off that this kid who showed up out of nowhere got a master?
What's this? We doing this now? That's not okay. I've been here. Yeah, no, I think you could do any of those age ranges. I think you could. I think that all depends on. It also depends on how long you want Marty's character to have been your master. If you want to be a little younger, so it's like new, or if you want to be, if you're like even like 16, it's maybe been a couple years, but you'd still probably consider Anakin your contemporary. He's at this point he's 17.
Okay, I think maybe I'll go for the younger one, and I'll confirm with Marty. Like, maybe it's only been a year since they became Master and Padawan.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I think it's interesting in either way, if it's wearing thin or if it's still like, are we still? Is this still? Maybe she'll ease up in it like after it's been like a year. She's not. Okay. She's not easing up. Anakin's jumping out of flying cars and
I have to be home by 8.
I'm practicing my katas tonight. It's okay, I guess. I had to clean her gi.
Oh yuck.
Okay, perfect. Cece.
So I want to be. I've drawn my character, of course because
Yay.
so
Yay.
it's my character.
Ooh,
Awesome.
Pretty.
Yeah. So I want to be Dathomirian. Me and Andy had kind of talked about it, and Andy suggested a really cool suggestion, which was
Letting you ride a Rancor.
Well, we can talk about that. They are from Dathomir.
Yep.
And technically, the witches of Dathomir do ride Rancor.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
In old canon, they were flying Rancors. They also had giant dragon wings.
Sounds like Andy's got a good suggestion for you. Sounds great.
Yeah.
He just said flying Rancors. I mean, that's canon.
Why? What?
Yeah, So the suggestion that Andy had come up with was that I be from one of the fallen clans on Dathomir. Did a bunch of deep dive on the lore of the witches of Dathomir, and it turns out that the Night Sisters are actually exiles of like all the other clans of the witches of Dathomir, and so there's a bunch of other clans, but there's very little information about them. So the one that I was kind of eyeing was this clan that's called the Frenzied River Clan, and they kind of follow more of like light side force teachings. So there was this Jedi that came to Dathomir a long time ago in the canon called Aliyah, something like that. That basically like taught all these clans like how to use like the inherent like force that is on Dathomir. So I was kind of thinking that the clan that I would be from would probably more closely follow her teachings, and her teachings were kind of like never conceit evil, like still very like Jedi teachings, even though she was exiled by the Jedi for kind of messing around with like dark side kind of musings kind of things. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that she would be from a clan that was a little bit more like light side friendly kind of, but maybe still like questioning like the Jedi and like maybe thinking like, oh, but you guys are doing like the Force wrong. Like
Oh, you mean magic? We don't call it that. Okay, but it's magic though. So
yeah. And I was also kind of thinking that because like there's also a bunch of this cool stuff about like the witches of Dathomir also being like these cool like barbarian women, that maybe she would be a little bit more like physically trained and a little bit more physically focused than necessarily like relying a whole lot on what she calls magic.
okay, yeah. Would she be able to use the Force?
Yes.
Okay.
But just kind of not like. She would probably see it as like Jedi like rely on the Force too much.
Sure. Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. What is her purpose in the galaxy?
That's the part that I haven't thought too much about yet.
Ride a flying Rancor and be awesome.
A flying Rancor.
To get a flying Rancor.
I'll have to see if I can find that picture. It's real rad. Hold on. Please continue. I'm listening.
Yeah, so that's the part that I'm not quite sure and am kind of more like flexible on, open to suggestion on kind of a thing. Because I was thinking that because of like the whole situation with like the Night Sisters and Mother Talzin at that time, of like Mother Talzin kind of taking over Dathomir and these other clans kind of falling, that she would be kind of a refugee type almost in the galaxy and kind of like wandering and trying to find a place in the galaxy. Oh my god, that is rad. I want that to be me.
It can be.
Look in the chat. Show it again.
We can build it. It's in.
It's in our chat.
Discord chat.
Oh, that's what I get for leaving this full screen while we're using it. Okay, yeah, that's rad as fuck.
Okay, we'll build towards that. How about that?
Hell yeah. I don't need to start at that. I just need to get there.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think that's a good life goal.
Yeah.
Flying Rancor. Is that a profession or?
It's more of a life's aspiration, really.
Oh, show chat here. Sorry, let me see if I can get this to. Hopefully, this will show up good. It's pretty rad. Google if you Google if you Google Flying Rancor, it's like the first or second picture.
Wow, that's gorgeous.
Yeah,
I love the composition.
It's like this Sith woman looking thing riding a Flying Rancor. Or a Rancor dragon. Which I think we actually...
Sith woman-looking thing. You mean like a Dathomiri witch?
She looks more like Mara's Brood to me than a Dathomiri witch, but I'm trying to remember what... It might... Oh, she might be Dathomiri. She looks like she has katanas.
I mean, that would be really, really, really old Jedi, but yeah, sure.
Yeah. I think she was from the... Before Dark Horse lost... I think she was from, like, the Tales of the Jedi, and they spelled it, like, JED''AII. Religiously Sith. I'll try and figure out who... I'll try and figure out who that is and what her deal was. Here, she looks rad. Maybe I can bring her back into this.
Can she teach me how to fly a Rancor? Because
we'll see.
She's your teacher.
Yeah. It does say they were created via magic,
class.
so get good.
Give me Sith alchemy in the movies, please. Thank you.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe my character's purpose or whatever is that they are looking for their purpose now that they have been kind of displaced from their homeworld.
Okay, perfect.
And that purpose is to ride a fucking flying Rancor.
Okay.
Oops, she found it.
Quest over. Dun, dun, dun.
What is my purpose? I have found my purpose.
And Jay, let's talk about your character and what you're thinking. And
Oh boy,
we talked about some things with this character.
We talked about some things, and we're gonna try to pull some shit.
Cool, dude. 30 feet tall.
Yeah, pretty much. So essentially, the idea of this character is because this is when the I think it's the Technological Collective and the Trade Federations are starting to work together to work on the separatist armies.
Mm-hmm.
That there'd be a lot of experimenting and prototyping. So this character is essentially going to be a prototype of a new Vulture droid. So Andy has said he is willing to let me play a starfighter.
Yes. So if Vulture droids are in episode. I think they're in all. They might be in all.
They're
the
in
prequels.
all of the prequels.
But I always remember them as they're in the very first scene of Revenge of the Sith. Anakin says to Obi-Wan, "Look, there's General Grievous's ship. It's swarming with Vulture droids, and yeah, it's all these droids. They're just kind of, swarming over a ship. They kind of look like crabs. I always thought they looked like crabs, and they can either fly or they have like a walking tank mode.
And when they're in walking tank mode, they're 30 feet tall.
And they're 30 feet tall. So we're gonna have to try and figure this out a little bit. I don't think I could give you Starfighter stats all the time. But I'm letting Marty play a Jedi Master, so I think we can work with it a little bit. I also trust all of you to not take total advantage of me. I trust you to take some advantage of me. That is fine.
I'm sure there's also an implicit understanding that if you're going to let us, that stuff will encounter things commensurate to that sort of ability.
Yeah, it's like a herd of flying Rancor.
Right. Exactly.
Listen, I said I wasn't going to start at Flying Rancor. I'm going to end up at Flying Rancor. Yeah. That's me not taking advantage of.
Or a herd of Vulture droids. But we also talked about, Jay, you having a smaller form, so that for instances where a Vulture droid is inappropriate, kind of having like a buzz droid kind of thing, right?
Because the idea with the buzz droids is eventually the Vulture droids by episode 3 do also have the 2 blasters, the 2 torpedo tubes, and the little launchers that they can use to shoot buzz droids.
Yep.
So the idea is this prototype is kind of giving them more sort of independence because the episode 1 ones are all linked to the ship, and they all stop working when the ship is destroyed. Kind of a big, massive military oversight, but we'll get into that and how dumb they are later. So having it be a longer flight time, because normal Vulture droids can fly for like 35 minutes, tops, which isn't good.
That's less than ideal, I would say.
That is less than ideal, but like when you have literal swarms of them, it's a little different, since this is not a literal swarm of me.
Yes, yeah, well, and when you're... the flight time means you just crash. I mean, I guess that's its own weapon. It's a droid. It's not like they're losing a person. Sorry, droids.
I'm only a little hurt.
Okay, so there are 2 ways to build droids. One of them is much more complicated than the other. I am down for either way. So the first one is essentially you build it like a normal character. If you saw a template you liked, by the way, feel free to use it. I don't know if any of them quite fit. But
not really.
All droid attributes start at 1 die, and then you can just increase them. Although this version even suggests, like, droids don't really have good attributes, they have good skills. They've been programmed to do one thing. R2-D2 is not fast, strong, persuasive. He's good at repairing things. He's got a bunch of tools, but he's not, like, physically very good at a wide variety of things. He's specialized. C-3PO is specialized. C-3PO knows how to do 2 things. He can talk languages, and he allegedly knows how humans work.
Except for that one time he got jetpack.
Yes.
It was weird.
He has a jetpack in one thing. It's not even... It's... They list all of the things he has here, and that jetpack's not one of them, because this game was made in 1987. 2 arms, though. I do love C-3PO, or R2-D2's arms. I love any... Chopper from Rebels has these, like, 2 little crab arms that come out of the top of his head. It's funny to me every time. Okay. The other way is more complicated, and I would have to probably send you, like, a little text document about. Because you get, like, 75 points to build with, and then each thing costs different points. So let me find... It's in the Star Wars Rules Companion, which I bought off eBay. Let's see. And this, I'm glad I did get this because this has the index in it for 3 different books. Because
Oh, nice.
Because back in the day, they just didn't used to put indexes in books.
What's an index?
Yeah.
He doesn't know.
Okay, let's see. So, for instance, let's see, creating your own droids. All droids have a base attribute of 1D. Players receive 65 dice of building dice. And then, like, increasing attributes cost 5. Getting a tool costs 1. So I think that might be something maybe because we have a hard out tonight, so I don't want to go too late.
Mm-hmm.
But I can also try and find just stats for a Vulture droid, and if you're okay with it, we'll just maybe build the Buzz droid, and then give you maybe something you said just made me think. If original Vulture droids could only fly for 35 minutes, maybe as an experiment when they're trying to kind of be able to launch this more advanced Buzz droid, more intelligent, maybe they can fly longer, but they have like lesser like cannons or something like that, and like lesser, they don't have the swarm of Buzz droids. They can shoot one Buzz droid, and it's more like an infiltration unit kind of thing. So it's not like okay, well, we walk up to this door and we have a tank to blow it up kind of thing. I mean, you can probably still. I wouldn't say it's like, but it's not like the super strong turbo lasers or something like that. It's a slightly weaker laser. It's a prototype. It's not the
if you
best of
want,
everything.
want a little
That
input,
would be
maybe...
an interesting thought, is instead of like having the 2 big blasters on the wings and the 2 torpedoes on the body, instead of in the body to make more space, it's smaller blasters that don't have the same yield as like just letting me throw torpedoes around in ground combat.
Yeah.
If you want a suggestion,
Sure.
it might be that you're a prototype for like spying, like one of those drones they use in the military that they just send up and they send back images. Like you were the prototype for that.
Oh, interesting.
So you would have like maybe small defensible weapons that in case you got into hot water you would fire and then fly away, but not anything that would like give away your position or cause anyone to be like, oh, what's this Vulture droid doing in the middle of our backyard?
Maybe it's more like an infiltration unit, which would kind of fit the idea of like a one better Buzz droid. It's more, you're not trying to, I guess Buzz droids try and rip apart ships they're fired onto, typically. I'm good with any version of that, Jay, if you'd like to kind of...
Yeah, if you can send me the point buy stuff, I'll like look around with it, and then if we can also just somehow find stats, use those to build off of too, or just go with that eventually. We'll see.
There are Clone Wars like fan-made documents, because this game was not published by the time the WotC had the license by then. But people still like this game, so they made fan-made published supplements. So I will try and find Vulture droids, and if not, I'll just look at like X-Wing stats or whatever, and just be like, I'll just adapt them, or A-Wings, or because Vulture droids are, because they're hyenas are the bombers. Is that right? I think it is.
I think so.
Or like the bomber variant. Okay. So something I've been thinking about, and I wanted to ask you. Ooh, yeah, I did it. I wanted to ask you, Jay, is so if you are a separatist prototype, why are you with seemingly we have 3 Jedi Republic aligned agents? Are you?
So I like the idea of at some point during everyone else's first mission, they essentially find and activate this prototype. And because it's prototype, it just woke up, it just sees people and says, hi, what's going on?
Okay.
I like that idea.
Yeah, and it's a droid. I mean, it can
think I
very
know who turns
easily
it on.
be reprogrammed. Oh, yeah, I'm 1,000% on board. What's this? Why are you touching that? Please. Yeah. I imagine Marty's Jedi Master does a lot of snapping at you. Hey, that's not polite. Don't snap at me. Had a great Marty in chat. Sounds like a great job for Liz, and a job for me to tut at. No. But yeah, no, I love it. I love it. Okay. We have about 10 minutes left, so let's start to consider that. But I think we've got a lot of really great stuff here, and we'll continue to talk about it and build it. Jay, is there anything else you wanted to say about your character before we kind of do a final wrap-up?
Expect robot shenanigans.
Okay. Awesome. Is there anything, any questions anyone has before we wrap up, or anything anyone would like to add or say about Star Wars or this game or the campaign or in general?
I did find a template that I thought might work for my character,
Okay, yeah, sure.
and so I wanted to check it over with you just real quick while I've got you here.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at Alien Student of the Force.
Mm-hmm.
You think that would fit okay?
I do indeed. So let's see. Let me just pull that up real fast.
It's one of the first three that appear to almost be in alphabetical order.
Yeah, it's so...
Almost. Not quite.
I have a feeling...
It's 3 A's in a row.
I know, I have a feeling that some of these maybe weren't in the original book, and then when Fantasy Flight reprinted it, they just added some that were, added at a later date in different books. That's my only thought on why they are not in alphabetical order.
Well, Failed Jedi Gambler Kid could be if you're going FGHIJK from the top, right? Like this page I have printed out. But, who knows?
But then yet, later, it's Young Senatorial, Wookiee, Tough. It's like, why WT?
Tough is the one who does not... Yeah,
right.
It's Star Wars. It's like what Tough.
Oh, okay.
What is your backstory? Tough.
I'm tough.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, Alien Student of the Force, Dex. Yeah, I think that fits.
Okay, cool.
You do have all 3 Force powers. Because some of them don't have all 3 Force powers, and technically, you're supposed... If you are a Jedi, you learn them in a specific order, but if you are not of the tradition of Jedi, you can learn them in any order, which I do think is interesting. But, okay, perfect. Yeah, Alien Student of the Force. Anybody else?
I was thinking about either... There's a template called Tongue-Tied Engineer, but also maybe Minor Jedi. I don't think they have a Padawan.
They don't.
Not 30 years ago.
No, because this would have been before that was a thing. I think Minor Jedi. I think either one would fit, and then we could just figure out if you're the engineer, what your Force things are with. And the thing about learning more Force abilities is it's difficult if you don't have a Jedi Master, because you're just kind of trying to figure it out on your own. And when this game is set, there's 2 Jedi Masters. One of them's dead, and the other one's Yoda. So it's really hard to find to kind of learn the Force in the game as written. In the game we're playing, though, you have a Jedi Master. So even if you start with very few Force powers, you can earn them pretty quickly throughout the game. And if you wanted to find a different Jedi Master, I know we talked about the Bendu from Rebels. That's a Jedi. That is a person who can teach you how to use the Force. They're just not a Jedi Master. So I'm down for either Minor Jedi or Tongue-Tied Engineer. I think both fit well.
Okay. Maybe because I think we decided that she's very new to this, so I think Tongue-Tied Engineer might be better.
Okay.
Because she is just starting out being a Padawan.
Okay, yeah, okay. So if that's the case, and then you can add, because you would want all the technical stuff.
Yeah.
Because you're not a pilot. You're an engine. You want to repair and kind of understand droids, right?
Mhm.
And program them. Okay, good. Yeah, I was making sure program is under there. Yeah, I think that fits great. And then maybe I'll talk to you about where your force kind of lies after that, and then you can fit obviously your 7 skill points to make your droid stuff even better. Or if you want to, if you're new, you probably don't know how to use a lightsaber. Your lightsaber might be new even. Still got that new lightsaber smell.
Can it look like a wrench? It should look like a wrench.
Oh,
That's what I was thinking.
That's
a light
cool.
spanner.
It's like a little Swiss Army lightsaber.
Oh, I like it.
Cool.
That's cool. Yeah, it's got I like it. I'm down.
I was thinking like
Lightsaber is
making
this
like the
long,
blade
and it
shorter.
has a little
Yeah.
like bottle opener that comes out of this side.
Hold on. Isn't that a lightsaber? Hold on.
Right tool for the right job. Come on.
That's right. Tweezers, magnifying glass.
I have something for this. Or just lightsaber it apart. No.
Right tool for the right job.
You want it done fast or you want it done right?
I made this.
I was gonna ask you, Jay, like what, like if is there like any like shorter swords that I could use as like, because I was thinking my character would be more like hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, there are. I mean, lightsabers come in any shapes and varieties. Like, spend some time deep diving into the articles on Wikipedia. There's all kinds of crazy just stuff, especially if you get into Legacy canon. But yeah, you could just have a normal lightsaber that's just a short sword as opposed to the full length thing. It's like, we've seen shorter lightsabers. Like, literally Yoda's lightsaber is shorter.
Yeah,
because he's like 2 feet tall.
Sorry, I tried to get my... This one is not a good example. My other one is a better example. But Ahsoka has a shorter lightsaber. It's called a Shoto lightsaber. So yeah, you can have a shorter lightsaber. Like, that's... yeah, like Jay said, it's people double-bladed, shorter. You can do whatever you want. So yeah, if you wanted to... I kind of like that idea. Yeah, that's a kind of a different idea. Usually it's held in your offhand. But what if you're like, no, this is good. You don't want it to be bigger? No, I'm good.
Oh,
Like, yeah,
Marty
it has
did
this
ask in chat.
lightsaber in it, but...
Sorry, but Marty was asking in chat if my character passed the trial on Ilum, and I was like, maybe she just figured out how to make a lightsaber on her own.
Oh, that would be... Oh.
I really like that.
Oh, you're like off-brand lightsaber.
Yeah, I built
prodigy.
this. You did what? You have never been to Ilum. Well, I just figured out how it works.
I looked at yours. Like
Right.
they have trading ones.
What?
That's the way they do it, right?
I took
I
yours
learned it
apart.
from watching you.
Yeah.
I am down either way. I actually even thought of a one-shot, if we wanted to do it at a later time, that could have been a flashback to your character passing the trial on Ilum. But if she's never been, I am down with you breaking some rules of,
But
like...
do they have to send her to, like, confirm? She's allowed, like, okay, you did it, but you still gotta go through
You still gotta go, though.
Go.
Like...
Right, you show up and you're like,
I
whatever.
gotta get the little crystal.
Right.
I already... It'd be so funny if you showed up and you're like, I already have one. Like,
You're like, what?
what?
I'm here for like protocol, but like I have this, so
Brought my own, thank you.
I built it like a couple weeks ago.
They're like, do you want a job?
It's almost like you're in detention or something like that because you didn't do your homework right, even though it was correct. Like,
Yeah, exceptionalism is frowned upon. Sorry.
you didn't do it the right way. I did it. No, the right way. I'm so down. Okay. Anything else, and then we'll wrap up.
One question.
Sure.
How do you want to work the extra Jedi points? Do you want to think about it and just, like, message me? Or do you have a thought about it already? Or
Let me think about it and message you, but I
okay.
let me... I will look at the source book has stats on people. Let me look at like what Luke Skywalker is and like versus Obi-Wan and kind of figure out where people are.
Sure. Great.
Because I'm going to have to
that.
figure out Marty's too, so I'll figure.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think you'll necessarily like Marty is a Jedi Master, but it's not necessarily going to be like she's not on the Council. She's not necessarily a notable Jedi Master. She's a Jedi Master, and probably same like. Because I want you to also be able to grow as we're playing, so
Absolutely.
you get skill points and they actually mean something. But it'll be kind of like Marty said it, even A Crown of Candy, where Liz and Cece's character will probably grow at a faster rate than everyone else because it's easier to spend skill points when you have less skills. Like they don't cost as much. So
Right.
everyone else will kind of probably upgrade slower, and Liz and Cece's character will kind of be like, you learn fast when you're not good at things. You learn how to do it.
They'll catch up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay. Outros and plugs. Timothy.
I want to plug this wonderful group of people I play D&D with, and I'm now playing Star Wars with. And I'll plug Flower Power Herbs and Roots in New York City. They're at 406 East 9th Street. They're amazing people. I see them regularly under normal circumstances. I haven't been by the shop in a while. But they are doing mail order and web orders, so if you're interested, Flower Power. That's my plug.
Awesome. Liz.
Hi, I'm Liz. You can see me in a couple of days. For Text Force Unlikely. I will plug, just keep plugging washing your hands and keeping that social distance.
Cece.
I'm Cece, aka Soup, aka Soupska on Twitter and Instagram. If you like the lovely new overlay that I did, that you see before you, consider giving me a follow, because I do that and artwork like I showed earlier on the stream of my character. I do all that fun stuff. So yay! And then, same as everybody else, wash your hands, wear your mask, and do healthy distancing.
And Jay.
Hi, I'm Jay. Be kind, stay safe, wash your hands, wear your mask, and Black Lives Matter.
Indeed. Don't be racist. Have a great night, everybody.
Not hard.
It's not. I didn't think it would be that hard
Not hard.
in 2020, but apparently it is. Have a great night.
Oh, we skipped Marty. Oh well.
Oh, well.
Or
He could
Marty.
dictate. He could dictate in chat.
Arrest the cops who shot Breonna Taylor. And that's usually Marty's plug. So, and click something. Please click something on the screen. It's not that important.
Click it.
Do some other stuff.
Smash that like button.
Smash it! Use the dark side and release your anger.
Release your smashing.
Do it. Do it.
Do it.
Good night, everybody.